Hey folks, Saber4 here. I know that it's PQ season and also spoiler season for Jump to Lightspeed. We have a lot of folks who are out there talking about meta decks, talking about PQs, talking about coaching, other things like that, and strategy. Just wanted to go through a quick deck video here with one of the new leaders for Jump to Lightspeed, Boba Green. Specifically here, let's talk about what he does. Boba Fett is a red villainy leader, and when you deal non-combat damage, you may exhaust this leader, and if you do, you deal one indirect damage to a player. Now, indirect damage is the new mechanic. It assigns one unpreventable damage that they get to assign to a unit or to their base, and it does not affect shields, nor is it stopped by shields. When he flips, he is either a 4/7, or he can flip as a pilot, and when deployed as a upgrade, he is a miniature barrage. He deals 4 direct damage divided as you choose among any number of units. He's also a 4/4 pilot, so he adds 4 power and 4 health to whatever unit you drop him into. This is the deck here, Inescapable Devastation. So what we've done is that we've taken a red-green space shell and crafted it around some of the new mechanic that is here with the new leader. A lot of stuff in here is familiar. The 1-drops include your Death Star Stormtrooper, TIE Fighter, Daring Raid. Then we move into the 2s, Admiral Piet, Kylo's TIE Fighter, and the new one here is Alliant General Pride. We have some ramp with the Super Laser Tech and Resupply. A little bit of upgrade hate with the Disabling Fang Fighter. Outlaw Corona is one of the key features here in the deck, as well as Fett's Fire Spray and the Hunting Aggressor. We have a little bit of direct damage. We have a little bit of shielding. And then we move on to our top end, which are Planetary Bombardment, Darth Vader, and the Devastator. Core cards here, and we just wanted to talk about those. Well, let's back up a slide here. Core cards here. A lot of these things, what they're doing is they are dealing non-combat damage, or they are allowing you to deal direct damage and activate Boba. So non-combat damage from Daring Raid, Overwhelming Barrage, Fett's Fire Spray, Ruthless Raider, Planetary Bombardment, and the Devastator all trigger Boba's leader ability. General Pride with Initiative will also strip upgrades. Now, he does not strip unique upgrades, so something like say the Darksaber would not be stripped off, nor would Vader Saber, Luke Saber, but a non-unique lightsaber or the General's Blade or experience token shields, other things like that are coming off with General Pride's ability. With Initiative, General Pride also deals indirect damage, and so for 2 and Initiative, he is effectively a 5/3 body, which is a really great drop here. He's also the only rare that's in the deck. There are a few legendary cards. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Other big hit here is the Outlaw Corona. So far, the Outlaw Corona is the only capital ship that is underneath the curve for Planetary Bombardment, which enables you to Planetary Bombard on 6 on curve. So the best case here is that you're able to put out Planetary Bombardment with an Outlaw Corona and a Hunting Aggressor on the table. You deal up to 14 indirect damage that way, followed by a leader deployment into one of those ready ships, and you're going to wind up with a ship that comes up as a 7/9 or a 7/10, depending on damage to the 2 of them, and really, really powerful deploy turn. All right, play lines here. Your turn 1 play line, your best bets, depending on whether or not you're going to get initiative. Death Star Stormtrooper and a Daring Raid, or if you were staring across from if you're sitting across from Tarkintown, Piet is there to kind of soak up extra damage because he forces you to really do something. There's not a whole lot out there that's going to be able to deal 4 turn 1. And so Piet will kind of force their hand. He also is there for late game units, meaning that you can come in later on, and if you have Piet on the table, your late game capital ships all become ambush units. Your turn 2 preference is to ramp and defeated opponent's turn 1 play. Those are not mutually exclusive, but it also, if you're ramping using super laser techs, you can choose an indirect damage to come there or choose a ping to come there, and you can ramp with your super laser tech passively. Kylo's Tie and a Stormtrooper or a Daring Raid are also good plays at that point. Then we're going to kind of split, and you can see here on the left, turn 3 with ramp, you're going to want to drop an Outlaw Corona if possible and a 2-cost unit. Followed by turn 4 after you've ramped, open up a Planetary Bombardment dealing 12, 13 with a Boba, and then you're basically going to wind up clearing the board. You can then deploy Boba as a pilot, and if you do that into a uncontested board, then you're doing that with a 7-9 ship. Can get pretty ugly. Obviously, if you don't have the opportunity to ramp, turn 4 does a great job with Overwhelming Barrage or Fire Spray or an Aggressor. But turn 3 without ramp, you can drop either of those. The Hunting Aggressor is probably my favorite play because you're able to put out so much indirect damage in this deck that adding to it really kind of forces that into being a target. A 5 resource turn with Overwhelming Barrage with Hunting Aggressor a 5 resource turn with Overwhelming Barrage with Hunting Aggressor on the table will trigger Boba, who does 2 indirect damage and can also trigger General Pride. So you really can add a lot of damage up quickly. The win condition in this tech is going to be damage based. Boba's leader ability and indirect damage from Daring Raid, Pride, OB, Fire Spray, Ruthlessness, Planetary Barrage, Devastator. You're gonna deal a lot of direct damage and a lot of indirect damage in this deck. It's going to be hard for your opponents to keep things on the board. Your board control is going to be pretty present. I did not include no disintegrations in this deck, but that is a useful sideboard thought. But Planetary Bombardment, in what I've tested so far, really, really makes things difficult. Do you want to take 8 to your base, or do you want to take 8 off of your units? And usually you're having to do a bit of both just to keep a few things alive. And if you can do that into Boba's flip turn, you've kind of done the job of no disintegrations without having to play the card. It forces your opponent into interactions, and you've got 38 units in the deck. So trying to 1-for-1 removal these is very difficult because you do have enough things that you can drop on the smaller end that are still power plays and make life difficult for your opponents. It's a medium difficulty build. I do have 7 legendaries that are involved. 2 of them are Darth Vader, which can be easily replaced with rares. 5 of them are new. I want 2 copies of that Devastator. I want 3 copies of Planetary Bombardment. And then 3 of them are special, which is to say that they are Fett's Fire Spray that come out of the constructed deck. The only rare in this otherwise is General Pride. So you're really looking at a medium budget build at best. But this is it. So that is deck number 1 that we're looking at for Jump to Lightspeed. Check back later. We'll put up a few more as more leaders come out. Thanks for stopping by.